Here we've got Marissa, Michael, Zaki, AB, Al, Emily, Jamero, Junique, Ollie. That is everybody.
As a quick note, in case there is a technical issue, but there shouldn't be, when you're getting on cam for the jury members, if you are not able to unmute / get on cam, just hang up and hop back on and it should work.
Okay. So here is kind of how it's gonna work, folks. You get, why am I blanking? 7 minutes for your opening speech. Each juror will have 8 minutes to ask a question, get your responses. I will always give in terms of who goes first is determined by Persist score. And so in the order as follows, it would Zaki, you get to choose if
firewood, and it gave us like energy in the game.
Jamero, you're okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do
that. Zaki, you get to pick if for opening speeches, if you want the order to be you, Michael, Marissa, or the inverse of that, Marissa, Michael, you, with the flip happening for closing speeches. What would you prefer?
I'm going to go with me going first, Michael, then Marissa, and then the inverse at the end.
Okie dokie. We will get started. I will count you in, and my camera goes off, and the floor will be yours. Alrighty. Zaki, in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Okay, so before I get just fully fledged into this, I would just want to give last season's winner, Connor, a shout out. He is the entire reason I sent in an application. Because of him, he put in a good word for me. He is a good friend of mine, and I love him to death. And hopefully, I'm able to live alongside his legacy within the Persist sphere. That being said, I also just want to kind of give a shout out also to my fellow Final Tribal Council members. It was a very long and difficult journey getting here. And I think, and I have this feeling that this is not necessarily the final 3 that the jury expected or really wanted, because there's a lot of conniving individuals up here, and that is including myself. I want to preface this by also just saying that this is my first Final Tribal Council. If I seem nervous, it is only because this is very new to me, and it's kind of scary. I have never done anything like this before, and I just want to emphasize that it is not a lack of confidence in myself, because trust and believe I'm very confident. Of being villain in hero's clothing, because at the very beginning of this game, I established an extremely tight connection and an alliance with Al, AB, and Ollie, being a part of the Theybies and the Gaby. It is a that is a sticking point to the pre-merge of my game, where those three were the tightest people that I was with, and there is really not a lot more to that. I think that I also created a lot of peripheral relationships with Jordan, Sam, and Zach. Whenever I found out that they were in an alliance with AB, I proactively went out of my way to establish connections with those people in an alliance people to make sure that if a target were to be put on the babies in the Gaby by any way, it would not be directed towards me. I played a very, very proactive game, and I look forward to going into the details on that when it comes to the pre-merge and the merge. However, I want to also just touch on the merge, where going into it, round 1, round 2, round 3, an idol either got roasted or somebody went home with an idol. And there being only one real advantage in the game that no one necessarily looked at being my Kool-Aid advantage that I got from the store during that one pre-merge challenge, where I proactively lessened my target, knowing that I was going to use that information to target and help alleviate the idea put on Sam going into the merge and help control that trust towards me. I want to emphasize that it's not necessarily a big advantage. However, it kind of was the only one used successfully, as I'm now sitting here with the highest persist score because of it. I think that it is a testament to my game with being how proactive I was to everyone establishing social connections and taking advantage of them by not receiving a single vote until Final 5, where no one really came close to that, while also simultaneously not winning a single immunity, where I was constantly always in possible danger, but never really in any social danger at all, except for pre-jury, which is where the babies and the Gaby came in clutch. To touch on the villain and hero's clothes storyline, I think it's important to focus on specific actions that I proactively took throughout the merge, that were a transition from my loyalty storyline to officially taking the clothes off to reveal a villain aura, essentially, where essentially at the Jameral vote, I flipped my vote wanting him to go home in that split vote, while still attempting to remain trust with the people that I've built trust with. And as soon as Judanique started not using her idol, I spoke up to attempt to convince her to use her idol, knowing that she fully was going to waste it because it would never be used in my advantage. That was the beginning of my villain storyline of taking the clothes off. Next was overall the entire AB vote, where I had a pretty significant voice in having that happen. With
1 minute.
it was very difficult. Okay, I'll try to wrap this up. It was an extremely difficult vote. However, I think it is important to note that it is a part of my transition from a hero taking off the clothes to a villain storyline. I think comparatively to my finalists, I have had the most dynamic game, where I had very high highs and I had some lows too. I will fully take ownership of those as well, but I built myself and created such a strong foundation that when those lows did happen, that I was able to bounce back immediately to make sure that the target was never put on me in any circumstance. There was always, no matter at any point in the game, a bigger target than I. And being somebody who couldn't win a single immunity, it was extremely important to have that bigger target.
And that is time.
That is it. I was done anyway. Great. Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Next up is Michael. Your time will start in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody. just going straight from the heart here. I had such an amazing time this season, and 38 days, like it flew by, and it also didn't. In the moment, it felt very difficult, but I just want to say thank you to production for putting this together. And honestly, like, this is literally the most unique, like, authentic Survivor experience you can have, except for obviously we're not sleeping on the beach and starving. But it has been an awesome time. And to Zachy and Marissa, like, I think you both played such good games, and like, no matter what happens here, I know it's going to be a battle. So looking forward to it, and whatever happens, happens. But you both played awesome, and it's been fun playing with both of you. And then to the jury, there's parts of my games I'm proud of, and there's parts where I wish I would have handled things a little bit differently. And I'll get into it later, but I think one of the weaknesses I did want to immediately touch on, because this kind of hit hard yesterday with how the owl vote went, was I did feel like there was moments in the game where, while my game was very much built on deceitfulness and promises I went back on, and being cutthroat, but I also feel like I maybe gave too much hope when I didn't need to, or said too many lies when maybe they weren't necessary. And I look forward to answering those, but my gameplay coming into it was genuinely, no matter what it took, no matter, it could have been my dad on the cast, it could have been my brother, it could have been my best friend, I was going to vote out whoever I needed to vote out to get myself here. Because the last few times I played, and I don't want to get into those, but my problem previously has been I've gotten, how I've called it, is too soft. I've felt too personally attached to someone to make the move I felt like I needed to make. And so I came into this, for better or worse for everyone else, coming into this with a mindset of, no matter how great I feel about somebody on a personal level, no matter the connection, no matter what I've promised, what I've said, if in my gut I feel that is the right move for my game, if that's the person I think is my number one threat to me at the time, that's what I was going to go for, and that's what I was going to do, and that is what I did. And starting off with Sonora, first three times we went to tribal council, there was no secret of who the other target was. It was me, and me, and it had nothing to do with anything I had done in the game. It had to do with reputation, what they've heard about me, previous games. And I remember the narrative a couple times was, if you don't vote him out now, he's going to make the final three. That is a hard thing to be told to an entire tribe of people, and then still try to convince them that you can trust them, that you can work with them, that they should keep you in the game. And while I know I wasn't at the top of the tribe, I was able to do enough to actually make those connections, and like this amazing alliance called Egg Jam with Emily and Jameral and Jared and Judanique, that really was a driving alliance in the tribe. But also, what was even more important for me was this secret alliance, this secret relationship with Marissa that was very strong from the beginning, because we got along very well and we didn't want anyone to know. And to me, I felt like going into the swap, no matter what, I'm so Sonora strong, I'm sticking with this group. That is my mindset. And then Survivor hits you in the face sometimes, and I got hit in the face again. And I swapped it to Boko in a situation with Jared where we were sitting ducks. I had no protection, I had no immunity, I had nothing other than my mouth, and trying to convince people that I can be an asset to their games at the merge, that I can be someone that they can work with, that they can trust. Trying to convince people that I'm not running Sonora, because I don't think I necessarily was. I think I was in a good spot, but I definitely made things embellished to an extent to survive. And more importantly than anything, I feel like I made really strong alliances with AB and Ollie individually on that tribe. And then right before the merge, Al as well, I felt really good about them. And going into the merge, I felt like I'm in this crazy position where there's my first 2 weeks and then my second week, where first 2 weeks are amazing, but I'm getting votes and I feel like I'm probably not at the top of anything. And then the third week was just praying and pitching myself for my life, and always in danger, like literally had no clue if I was going to leave. All I could do was try to make myself seem like a useful person to stay in the game. And I did my damnedest to stay, and I did. And when I made the merge, it was incredibly complicated, because it's not like it was a secret. I was in the middle of Sonora and Swap to Boko, and it was a situation where I really had to be careful. And for me, the ideal first two votes were Zach and Sam, because it kept me and my promise I had made to 8 other people in the game, which is a lot of promises to make. When Sam left, a few minutes before tribal, Jamerl tells me, who would you want to have leave if you could have anyone to go? And he said, Ollie. And I was like, oh shit. I had this amazing alliance with Ollie. I ran to Ollie. We ran it to Boko Call. We all switched our votes a few minutes before tribal from Jamerl to Sam to ensure that no matter what, I am in the final 9 with this group of 4 and this group of 4. And from there, everything kind of hit the fan. I don't know. I had a part in it, but I don't want to. There was a lot of other factors going on. But I feel like from that point on, what I wanted to have happen in the game, for the most part, did happen, especially from Final 7 to Final 3. At Final 7, I pushed incredibly hard for it to be AB because AB had told Ollie that their ideal Final 4 was the 4 Tobogos. That's not me. And if I'm not in your Final 4 plans, you can't be in my Final 6 plans. I pushed that incredibly hard. And I know Zach, you did have a role in it, but he also had spent that day wanting it to be a Marissa as well. At Final 6, Ollie, who I had been incredibly close to, I felt like was the number 1 threat in the game. And I was again involved in the plan to blindside Ollie with Al and Marissa. And Al had come up with this plan. I had already been thinking about it. It made a lot of sense for all of our games. And then at Final 5 and Final 4, both times, it was myself and Marissa in the driver's seat of what was going to happen at Tribal Council. We did not get influenced by any speeches at Tribal or anything along those lines. We had our mind made, and I feel like I definitely pushed strongly towards it being Emily and Al because I saw them as the 2 best players remaining in the game that I felt their games were incredibly strong. And despite personal connections, I just wanted to make sure, no matter what, I listened to my gut about who was my top threat. I had an amazing time. I'm excited to keep talking about this, but it's been a pleasure. And surely, no matter what happens here, I have loved meeting everybody. So
that is time. Thank you, Michael. Marissa, whenever I'll count you down in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Prod and the players for making this an amazing season. Congratulations to Michael and Zachy for making it to the final 3 with me. Here we are. And I would also like to thank myself for getting myself here. I did not make a plan going into this game for an ideal Final 3. I really didn't have a long-term game plan because I wanted to keep myself as adaptable and flexible as possible, especially because I know people don't typically perceive me as a power player, so I wanted to use that to my advantage and lean into my strengths of being a listener and really retaining information and being patient and waiting for the right opportunity to use that information for my game. Even close to the end game, I didn't have an ideal final 3 because I just went into it with the mindset that I would make it work regardless of who ended up there, if I ended up there. I know Michael has played a very strong game and Zachy have played very strong games, very different, and I commend them for that. And looking at Final Tribal Council, I just want to speak to my game and how I was able to play given the circumstances. And I don't play with an ego. I don't need to control the game. I don't need to be a power player, partly because, like I said, I know others typically don't perceive me like that, and I wanted to lean into that. Because my strengths are listening to others and building those strong one-on-one social relationships, I really focused on that rather than building a ton of alliances and applying whatever information they gave to me to better my game. And some of those really strong one-on-one alliances were with Michael and Emily, and then eventually Al. And Michael and Emily were pretty much from the get-go. I was working closely with Jamerl and Judanique for a while before Merge as well, but then it became very clear that they were icing me out. And so then I needed to work to change that. And then I was very upfront with people about knowing Al and not having any expectations of us working together. So anybody who says we played Friend Viver, that's not true. And I can get into more detail on that later if you would like me to. While I haven't played a dominant game But ultimately, I was in a safe position for that middle part of merge where it got a little rocky for me because I'm here. And then my allies did some good work in helping me out, get out of the bottom. And then like Michael said, I really ended up in a power position come final 6-5. Ultimately, we were really making the decisions with the votes from then on, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. But I also recognize that I set myself up for that pretty nicely. While I was not trying to have power moves and dominate the game, I still worked within the structures and the different positions that I was in to take down power players by giving select full truths to people. They didn't have to be like big lies or anything like that. They were truths and they were inconsistencies in other players' game that I was able to apply efficiently and selectively with other people to really get them to look at these power players and take them down. I set myself up with multiple options in the end game, and I solidified my core ally relationships, especially with Michael, Emily, and Al. I believe I earned my spot here because I did have to adapt the most within the confines of my positioning within the game, from being in a comfortable spot pre-merge to being in a near rock bottom or completely rock bottom position mid-merge or early merge. Because it was very apparent that I was not in the power structure whatsoever at that point. I had to really work to solidify those relationships with my allies and use the information that I was given to really work and better my position within the game. And that was a crucial time of the game, but it worked out to where I was able to get in this power position towards the end. I focused on those relationships where I could really make an impact and where they were actually willing to work with me, because please know that it's a two-way relationship. And if you're not giving me game stuff, then why should I give you game stuff? Also, most importantly, I understood how to work with my allies, whether that was making them feel comfortable and supported emotionally and or working strategically with them to make a variety of game moves. I have the most balanced game in the outwit and outplay categories, and I was also able to outlast so many others who were on the surface level a stronger force than me. And this isn't something that I typically care about, just because I know there's a lot of nuance to votes. But for anybody who does care, I was on the correct side of every
1
vote
minute.
that I of. And just to quickly touch base on how I had a hand in putting you all there, Sam, I did tell AB and Al that they wanted, or I did tell Sam that AB and Al wanted you out, and I wanted you to try and use your safety without power, or at least make your allies wary of you. Jamil, it was you or I didn't want you to go there, but ultimately I had to go into self-preservation mode. Judanique, your inconsistencies and your close allies, who were supposed to be Emily and Michael, they actively buried you and campaigned against you, and I exploited that to better my position. AB, you didn't manage your threat level, and Zaki approached me about making a move, and I passed that on to Emily and Michael as well. Ollie, I snaked you before you snaked me. Emily, I was done having now.
And so I will speak on behalf of Sam, and then we will share the responses that were given. Let me just pull that up from the camp. Sam says, first, congratulations on making it so far. My mind isn't made up. It'll all depend on these answers and the information received in the jury roundtable. Could you please state why you deserve to win over the other two, and why your opponents don't deserve to win? And specifically, Zaki, I love you. Be confident in owning your game. Michael, did you ever actually want to work with me, or were you lying unnecessarily? Finally, I want to reiterate that each of you have the chance of my vote. I'll be voting for the best player. And then I'll share my screen. Audio should be streaming as well. There you go.
New jobs and you have a lot of gigs on your plate, so I appreciate all the time you put into working with me when you could throughout the game. To answer your question, I deserve your vote because I put in the work with Al and Michael to send Ollie packing. But seriously, I think I deserve to win this season over the other two because I had to adapt my game more than the other two going into the merge to flip my position, especially because I started lower or not even in a lot of the power structures going into merge. To quote Britney Spears, I told myself, you better work, bitch. Early in the merge to about halfway through, I started, like I said, lower, completely out of a lot of the power structures of the game. And I worked to find cracks and exploit those to my advantage throughout the game, to set myself up nicely for the end game. I was in very few alliances, yet I had enough information flowing to me about the game from my solid allies that I was able to deduce what was happening in the game and how I ultimately fit into that picture. I knew I was left out of the OG Sonora power trio of Emily, I also did this with you to an extent. I did have conversations with AB and Al where they said they knew your name was out for the second merge vote. I told you this the morning of that vote because I wanted it to be on your radar, but I also knew there was a good chance you would run this back to the OG Tobocos, which I was okay with because I knew one of two things would happen. You would either realize this was true and use your safety without power, or you would make your Toboco allies lose confidence in you as part of their game plans. Either way, those were both goals of mine going into the round, and you ultimately went out that round because you had not lessened the easy target on your back. Your allies switched up their plan last minute to vote you out unanimously. I tried to have your back and set up a new working relationship, but regardless of you ratting me out, when I tried to save you, I knew that was likely and used that to my advantage. So I would appreciate your consideration and your vote, and I'm happy to have played the game with you. Thanks.
Hey, Sam. I will answer your first question. Yes, I did have intentions of possibly working together, but also I do feel like I misled you and Zach a good amount, more than I probably needed to. And I think that is something, first of all, I'm sorry if it did feel like it was over the top, because it probably was. And that was something I think you're not the only person on the jury who I think probably feels similarly. And it's something I knew was going to be a issue with the game I played. And the game I decided to play was one where I was willing to lie. I was willing to say whatever I needed to say to keep myself safe and to get whatever move I wanted to have happen. And there's obviously the downside of that now, where there can be negative feelings towards how I played, and I completely own that. And I will just want to say it was obviously nothing personal. I thought you were really funny. I enjoyed talking to you, but for the gameplay, I felt like, for me, being in the middle of this Toboco group and the Sonora group, and both really needed me, I felt staying there in that lane as long as possible was the best for my game. It would give me the most influence from Final 9 to Final 3, and I think that did show. But unfortunately, that did mean leading you and Zach on to a degree, and I'm sorry for that. I felt like you were the right vote for my game there. In terms of why I think I deserve to win over Zachy and Marissa, I think I had a much more difficult path to this point. I think I, similar to you, had a terrible swap that I made the most out of, and I think it took a lot out of me to do it, and I was still able to really dictate how the most important rounds of this game went, which is Final 7 to Final 3. At Final 7, Zachy did not want AB to go. Zachy told me and Ollie they wanted Marissa to go. I wanted AB to go. I pushed the vote onto AB because AB didn't want me anywhere near the end, so I didn't want them getting any further. On the Ollie round, Zachy had no clue that was happening. On the Emily vote, Zaki did not have any influence over that. Me and Marissa both talked, and actually Marissa initially wanted to not vote Emily, and I was able to convince / we talked it out. I don't want to take all the credit, but it was mostly my idea to get Emily there because I saw her as the #1 threat to me. And then similarly at Final Four, Marissa had actually brought up the idea of sending them to fire Zaki and Al, and I said, no, we need to get Al out of the game because I saw Al as a really impressive player. So I hope that is a good enough pitch, but nice meeting you, Sam.
Hi, Sam. It is absolutely fantastic to see you. I just would want to point out that I, simply put, think I played the best game because I played way more dynamically 100% of the time than the other two. I think that it is a testament to my game that I made it to the final 5 without receiving a single vote, where that was the first time that I did receive a vote, despite not winning a single immunity the entire game. It is important to recognize that I played the most like myself 100% of the time, balls to the wall, bull in a china shop at all times. It is important to also recognize that I put full force my personality into my gameplay style. I got along with people in the only way that I know how, by just being myself. I used those personal relationships with people in order to advance myself in the game on numerous occasions, and I could speak more on those instances in later conversation or later speeches. And truthfulness, I played like a villain because I needed to. I was a hero for the first half of the game. Then midway through the merge, I made the split-second decision and got AB out because it was what was needed in order to make it to the end of the game and win. I played like a hero for the first half, and then the second half flipped the villain switch and did what needed to be done. Kind of force an alliance with you so that I remain in the necessary periphery to mitigate my target level, and you helped fall asleep in order to allow that to happen. You were a lot more to my game than I think that you realize, and it's important to respect the people who got me where I am today. I think that is it. I'm so nervous. I'm gonna end this right at 2.5 minutes. Oh my god, stop!
Alrighty, we are now going to go to our next juror, which is Jameryl. Jameryl, it is going to be 8 minutes across the board. Kind of same idea. I'll give a minute warning. Once you start talking, I will start the timer.
All right. First off, congratulations to all of you for making it here. Obviously, you all did what we couldn't, so kudos to you on that. I would just start kind of with a general question for all of you, and we can just go in the same order that you did your opening statements. We all know this is Survivor. Perceptions are to some extent reality and situation. So coming into the game, what perception did you intend to give off to your fellow castmates? And reflecting on your game as a whole, how do you think that's matched up to what you actually gave out?
You said in the order of which we did our opening speeches, so you want me to go first? Cool. I wanted to give off the impression from the jump that I am the happy-go-lucky, fun-loving person that I truly am. The person that I wanted to come across is who I genuinely and am honestly am. I starting off in the pre-merge, I slightly touched on this, where I wanted to come across as more of the loyal to the Babies and the Gaby alliance, where there are certain nefarious behind the scene things that I was doing, like causing drama between Jordan and Al because I know that Jordan was going to go after me. Applying that the villain and hero's clothing storyline. I think that that is just one small example of many that I participated in while representing that hero perception. But once I made and went up front with how villainous that I can be, there's no going back. There's no putting the clothes back on anymore. So I leaned into the persona of going full-fledged of being myself and having that live up to the fullest capability that I know that I have. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, I think a couple different ways I was hoping to be making an impression. I wanted to be reliable. I wanted to be someone that people felt they could go to with a plan, go to with to talk something out, and they could have just an easy ear to listen or to talk to, and then also get feedback and on plans. I think that I did pretty well. The other thing I wanted to do that I don't know if it really impacted anything, but I played dumb a lot this season. Like in conversations, I would intentionally say, "Oh, what's that?" Like for example, I know the band is called Evanescence. I'm not under the impression that band is called Evanscene. Emily will understand that. But there was times in the game in conversations with people that I intentionally tried to come off as dumber than I am, because it's a lot easier to believe and trust the person you think might not be 100% up here, rather than the person that is actually planning to think about this game nonstop for 38 days. I tried to be someone that people felt, especially similar to Zaki, pre-merge, someone that people could trust. I tried to be like, yeah, like I'm loyal to the team. I'm loyal to Sonora. I'm loyal to Swap to Boko. I really tried to give off that impression. And I was hoping, and I think I did successfully.
I really wanted to kind of lean into what people tend to perceive me as, somebody who's a little more in the background and a listener, partly because that plays up to my strengths, but it also minimizes my threat level. I also told people I was a tax credit coordinator when I'm a tax credit analyst, just to kind of downplay that threat level a little bit as well. I also wanted to be that listening ear for people, and I guess I basically wanted to lean into perceptions, and I also wanted to play that to my strength, but I also wanted to downplay how much I was actually taking in and how I would later apply that and what I was thinking throughout the game. Maybe a little too much at times. I could get that later on as long as I worked on my positioning, and that did happen. So then I was able to use that information in the way that best fit my game.
Thank you. Michael, to you specifically, you mentioned in your opening speech there were parts of your game that like you weren't proud of, and I think just discussions amongst the jury, a lot of that kind of fell into your social game and kind of like how you manage your relationship. So I just want to give you the opportunity to kind of like speak more on that and kind of give your kind of answer to what you feel like your biggest mistakes were in that realm.
100%. That is 100% my number one flaw in the game, and I kind of knew it immediately when after the final three, and I was reflecting, because for me, how I was playing the game was very much socially building these relationships. Like I don't know how everyone feels about me, but I felt like I made real like personal connections with a lot of people on the jury and in the final three that I really valued. But at the same time, my mindset in this game was be willing to flip the switch when it needed to be flipped and just kind of turn off the emotion and vote out who I needed to vote out. And I think the problem I'm running into now is that's a little crazy, but in terms of like when people are getting voted out, that completely would make them feel very betrayed and like that was manipulative, and that's not my intention. I truly do not want to like hurt anyone's feelings or be unnecessarily deceitful, but in my mind, the answer was always focus on what the best move is in the game for you and try to separate that from the social game. And examples are very clearly like Al. Like I had a really personal conversation with Al before last evening's tribal, and that was in my mind completely separate from the game. But now looking back on it, I see how that could be. Why did you have that conversation right before then voting me out and lying to me? So those kind of things I was not thinking through, and I should have been thinking through, and that was a mistake.
Thank you. Zachy, I don't know how much time we have, but Zachy, I would, if I had to describe your social game, I would say it's selective. I think there's been a viewpoint of kind of you being selective in who your social game and some of your conversations kind of feeling like an interrogation.
1 minute.
Okay. So how do you kind of combat against that, and how do you think that will impact votes you could potentially get here tonight?
So I feel like as if people have this perception of me having a selective social game, more specifically because there were a set amount of tribal councils where unfortunately I was not able to be in the present moment during that tribal when those names were coming across. However, I've put into place necessary I guess formulas, necessary connections in order to have what I necessarily want kind of happen, even if I was on the minority of the vote. If it was going one way, I had set things in place to have it not impact me all that much. But regarding the social game part of it,
And that is time.
oh, lovely. I'll touch on it later.
Alrighty. Next up is Judanique. Whenever you start talking.
You're muted, Judanique.
Leave and come back.
Perfect. Cool. Well, hello, everyone. I'll skip the blah, 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 but I'm choosing who I vote on based on how well you compliment me. So you have 5 seconds. Go.
You live in the best city in the entire world, no discussion, and also great taste in food.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, next. Keep it coming.
You
Oh,
are
exactly.
you are as elegant and whimsical as Chakra from Hollow Knight Silk Song. She
I love that.
is my favorite character so far, and you represent her elegance quite fairly.
Wow. Thank you. Actually, I haven't gotten that far, so maybe that's a spoiler. But okay, keep going. Keep going.
Judanique, you are one of the most intelligent and interesting people I've met. You have so many hobbies and so like eclectic and like run the gamut. Like I could talk to you about anything, honestly. And you're just such a sweet, genuine light, and I loved talking to you.
Oh, perfect. I don't know if I'm just kidding. But thank you so much. I just wanted to have my little me moment. But anyway, for real, my main question is, or one of my questions is, I want you all to close your eyes, and I'm going to list down the jurors, and I want you to raise your hand if you think that you have their vote. And I know this is kind of a tricky thing in final tribal councils because you never want to be confident, but you went into this knowing that we have to vote for someone, right? So I'm sure you all have at least one person in mind. So let's start this. So close your eyes, no peeking, don't look at the other jurors, because I think, or not the jurors, everyone else. So I'm going to start in reverse order. So with Sam, raise your hand if you think you have Sam's vote. And then let's go to Demeril. And me, Judanique. And then AB. And then Ollie. And Emily. And then Al. Cool. Did I miss anyone? I hope not. That'd be embarrassing. Okay, cool. Okay. I don't think I missed anyone. Okay, cool. You can open your eyes. Okay, that's interesting. So for the people you didn't raise your hands for, what do you think that you have to say to win their vote tonight? Like, is it, do you think it's like explaining why a move went that way? Is it explaining, like owning up to something that you did in the game? Like, what do you think will change their mind if you didn't raise your hand? There's only 7 votes. Like, there's is a really like, you know, it could go anywhere. So I'd like to know, you could go in whatever order you feel like talking.
I'll jump in. I feel like with most people who I didn't raise my hand for, it's probably just a lack of understanding my game, whether that's because I didn't like show it enough or explain it enough for them, or because they didn't listen to me. It could go either way, and I do feel like probably that's my weakest point compared to Michael and Zachy, especially looking at the amount of alliances I was in compared to them, and how open I was about my game compared to them. And then I do feel like they probably had some more solid relationships that could play into this as part of that as well.
I can go. For AB, I felt like I didn't raise my hand because I felt like they had a really strong personal relationship with Zachy, and I know they were close. And I think I want to say I would not be here at all. No chance in hell without AB and Ollie on that swap tribe. And I'm not under some delusion that it wasn't very much because of them that was able to make the merge and get further in the game. I really valued that. In my mind, AB was an incredible threat to my game because of all the relationships she had with everyone else in the final six. And I felt like I needed to take the shot before the shot was taken at me. But it was just purely gameplay. Like, I really enjoyed playing the game with AB. And then with Al, it's hard because I feel like Al and I had such a honest relationship throughout the entire game, and it's something I very much valued. It was very different than what I had with a lot of other players. And I feel like how I handled yesterday could have been that the entire call, the entire typing before tribal, the pretending I was ever going to do Zachy, which I wasn't. I could have handled that a lot better. And I would not expect Al to vote for me after that.
To be upfront, the only person that I did not raise my hand on was Jameral, and it's because what he said was right. And in his speech, where I was a little bit selective when it comes to my social game regarding the game's sense, I felt as if I had set enough structure for myself strategically and socially that I did not necessarily need that bond. And unfortunately, in this situation, that was a sacrifice that I was willing to make in order to use a lot of my energy to focus on those game relationships and social relationships that I was able to do full force 100% of the time. I think that that is something that I could have done a lot better. However, I think that we can recognize how necessary it was.
Okay, cool. I appreciate all your answers. Also, I have to give my compliments to you guys. You all look amazing. Love seeing you guys all spiffed up. And yeah, I'm excited to see. Wait, how much time do I have?
1:50.
Okay, that's okay. I guess I'll cut it here because I don't have anything else to add, or there won't be time for answers. But yeah, wishing you all the best of luck. Congrats on making it to final three. And yeah, excited to see you guys at the reunion. So, bye.
Alrighty, after Junique, we have AB.
No, we don't.
Let's see, is this working? Okay, here we go. Hey guys. Sorry. I got over that. I will try and keep this relatively, well, I don't know about brief. Whatever, I'll cut to the chase. Okay, so Michael, when I play these games, my sort of mindset is I want to come and be part of something that means something to me. Like, I view Survivor as a story more than a game. That's why I watch this show, because I root for people, because I connect with their journeys, because I am moved by their relationships and different things like that. And I understand that the way you've played sort of demanded that you operate from a kind of emotional remove, which is fine, but it has left me in a place where the idea of voting for you here makes me feel, frankly, kind of nothing. Like I have an absence of emotion rather than a desire, despite the fact that I know that your strategic game was probably arguably the best player of the entire season. Like, after comparing notes with the jury, you were extremely dominant in this entire game. But because you played with this kind of callousness, it made a lot of the interactions and connections that you made feel, I think, retroactively phony or hollow in a way that made
loved meeting everybody in this game and building connections. And I think I was so focused on the strategy and the order of operation, or whatever you want to call it, that I kind of lost sight of the overall picture, which is these are all human beings. We all want to make connections here. We all want to know that we feel real connections with everybody in the game. And I did feel that. And I feel like you said, when I pull the rug under somebody, it's like, well, was that all bullshit? It was not bullshit. And I can not say that enough. And I know it's just my word, which in this game hasn't meant much. But genuinely, I've had the best time meeting everybody. This is not how I am as a human being at all. I'm very, very different from how I play this game. I'm very much an honest, like, friendly, wanted to just everyone to be happy and have fun type of person. And I think my story this game, if you're looking for a story, if you're looking for someone that you feel like best represents the season, I went through hell and back this season. And I don't think underdog, whatever you want to call it, that was the mindset I took on from the beginning, from how everything I had to go through. And even towards the end of the game, I'm getting told by literally everyone in the game, I want to sit next to you in the final three. I want to sit next to you in the final three. That to me makes me feel like, okay, maybe I'm doing something completely wrong here. But I did not give up, and I kept pushing on. And like, all I can say is, like, truly, I understand where you're coming from. This is not something that is shocking to me. Like, I when reflecting, realize and accept this is 100% a valid critique of my game. And all I can say is, genuinely, like, I made a bunch of amazing connections with a lot of people on the jury, and I hope to keep them regardless of if you vote for me or not. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, Zaki. So at an earlier point in this game, you sort of proudly and somewhat defiantly referred to yourself as a bitter juror, something that you're not going to make an apology for, and that's just part of who you are. You are the only person in this game who I voluntarily made a final two commitment with, right? And so, given that, knowing that, and knowing that you voluntarily chose to stab me in the back when I was willing to go to the end with you, why should I vote for you now if, given what I know about you as a juror, I would not expect it in return if our positions had been reversed?
That's because you don't know that me as a juror. That was a lie. I specifically said that so to not have my allies turn on me, to not want to actively put me on the jury. You're not the only person that I actually said that to. I believe at some point I did tell that to Al, and I do believe I told Michael that as well. There's certain sprinkles of things like that I did tell people that kind of allowed a kind of like a little bit of a falsehood of what they want me to be as compared to who I actually am and what I am giving off. That was my entire game. What people are kind of wanting and expecting out of me, whereas I've just been here yelling loudly, being here straight in your face. This is who I am. I'm coming to play. I'm going to make it to the end. I'm going to win. And unfortunately, there's not a lot that y'all can do about it. And that sounds cocky. I'm very much well aware of that. But in the sense of answering your question, I think that a lot of the seeds that I planted with you and with other people counteracted what I was giving off with my actual games, giving off with my actions in the game.
Appreciate it. Marissa, so you've talked a decent bit about being insulated and safe in the pre-merge at different stages of the game. From my perspective, that wasn't true. And as somebody who was a team captain in this sort of tribe swap where I selected the swap players, I know whose cards ended up on what side. And if my math is correct, you had the lowest trust ranking of any player in the entire game. And so the idea that you were insulated doesn't really read as correct to me. Is there something you can sort of explain about why, even though I know you weren't necessarily a lot of players' priority, sans I think Michael, which I do genuinely think is very true. Michael's given your props here, but why you feel, despite that, you were insulated if there were perhaps better targets or whatever. I just want to understand your explanation for that, because there's a disconnect between what you've been saying and what I saw in the text of the game.
So this is based on what my perception was pre-merge, based on basically what my allies at the time were giving me, and that was me, Judanique, Jameral, and Emily. We were part of a 5 alliance with Jordan, and then we formed a 4 alliance to get Jordan out.
1 minute.
And then the perception that was passed on to me from Emily was that she wanted to keep our core 4 together. So there was always the talk, oh, if we have to go to tribal, it'll be an easy vote out of Sam or Zach. And we always talked about that. We even talked about throwing the challenge potentially just to keep Michael and Jared safe potentially. So what was passed on to me was that I was safe, and I did feel that way. And if that's incorrect, then that's just even more incentive for me to be justified in voting all of them out.
Copy. Thank you so much. Appreciate guys' answers. Congratulations on making it to the final 3. I'm excited to see how this goes.
Thank you, AB. Ollie.
Hi. Judanique said you all look good. No, I'm going to start shady. Zaki and Marissa, you look lovely. Now, to start me off, you know me, I love the socialness. However, I need to test how you lot have actually showcased your social game. So I've got 2 little quizzes here. The first one is I've got facts about the jury, and we need to see who knows it. I'm going to read a fact. You put your hand up. First person to put their hand up has to answer, and you're going to tell me if you're correct or not. So, you all ready? First question. Who on the jury started a new job during the game? Marissa.
Sam.
Okay. Question number 2. Who came back to figure skating at aged 26? Michael?
Emily.
Okay. Question number 3. Whose dog is a Pomeranian / Yorkie mix? Marissa?
Jameral's.
Okay. Number 4. Who is a German citizen? Marissa?
You? I don't actually know that one.
Question number 5. And actually, I'm going to tell you you're all wrong. It was Al. Question number 5. Apart from me, who else loves Dead by Daylight? Michael?
I think Jameral told me that. Could be wrong.
Funny enough, I had a conversation with all 3 of you, and I mentioned AB. Question number 6. Which 2 players have both worked at summer camps?
I'll take a stab at it. Sam and Emily.
Nope, me and Jameral. Next question. Who has a wall of playbill book?
What was it?
Judanique.
What?
Judanique.
Yep. Question number 8. Whose celebrity crush is Aaron Trivet? I believe that was Zaki first.
I'm gonna go with you.
Nope. It was Emily. Question number 9. This is about someone. I'm not going to reveal the gender, so just to make it easier. Them and their ex both became Survivor fans after they broke up. Who am I referring to? AB, because this was said on a camp call. And finally, the final question. Whose celeb crush is Jonathan Bailey? Marissa?
Judanique.
Nope, it's mine. Okay, I've now got a second quiz. I've taken things from the jury roundtable. I've got 4 statements for each of you, and you've got to guess who said this statement. Are you all ready? Marissa, I'm going to start with you. Who said this about you? She calls herself a scapegoat, but take the scape out and the sentence is right.
I'm gonna say Judanique.
No, that was me. Okay, Zaki. Who said this about you? He was covering up for his own fuck up because if he didn't make you play his idol, we were all going to eat him alive.
Al.
Incorrect. AB. Michael, your first one. The human cost of what Michael did is high.
Al.
Incorrect. Emily. Marissa, your second one.
Sorry.
Me calling out Marissa was a correct read.
Judanique.
Correct. Zaki. Who said this? Zaki puts all his merge eggs in the basket of Marissa and Michael, which was not helpful when it came to developing reads themselves.
I'm gonna say Judanique.
Nope. Al. Michael. Only thing I have left to say is Michael is a ghoul.
Is a what?
Is a ghoul.
Cool. Damn. That's tough. Sam?
Nope, it was AB. Marissa, your third one. I don't see that she made much effort to improve on anything.
Jamero.
Correct. Okay, Zaki, the problem was the lack of self-awareness of these things. I'm going to be a bitter juror, but also going to push people off the boat.
I have to guess AB.
It was Emily. Michael, who said this? I try to be collaborative, but now I feel used and abused.
Al.
No, that was me. Okay, final ones. Marissa, there was a glimpse of something there, and I was hoping that it would be something, but it was nothing.
AB.
No, Jamero. Zaki, your final one. It's not what Zaki did strategically, it's how Zaki did it strategically.
Al.
Nope, me. And finally, Michael. Maybe I had some good conversations with him, but honestly, I can't find anything he said or did genuine.
That's fair. Emily.
Nope, that was AB. I'm not going to give you your scores. I'm going to let the jury know your scores, though. But I just want to remind you all to keep fighting, because you can try. And if I have to leave with one thing to say, it would be, no, I'm going to leave it at that.
Never been good at challenges. Sorry.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ollie. Emily.
Howdy, everyone. Hi. Congratulations on making it to the final. Sorry, I'm from my car in the middle of Colorado, but so these things go. I had a question, but I think based on the intros, I have a quick question I want to start with for Michael. So, Michael, you mentioned a really tough pre-swap. So can you tell me, do you think you were ever in any real danger in pre-swap, or do you think one person was furthering a narrative?
pre-swap, I did not feel like I was in danger of being turned on from egg jam, whether that's true or not. I was feeling in danger of not knowing where the idol was, and my name was out there. So to that degree, yes, but I did really trust everybody in that alliance, and I did really trust Marissa.
Yeah, because I think that one thing that just stuck out to me was that, yeah, you caught votes, but I think there's credit due to the jury and to Sonora there that none of us were going to take a previous game and say, hey, this is, do I wish I had listened? Maybe a little bit now, but that wasn't how any of us were going to act. And I think that understanding that distinction is maybe important. And then on the second part of it, and probably the more important part of my question is, you kind of said, hey, I was there for the Judanique Emily thing, but what role do you think you had in that?
I think I had more of a role than I wanted to necessarily have. In my gameplay, I was not trying to cause the blow up that happened. I was trying to show that there were concerns on my end of what was happening, and I had already kind of mentally prepared that I was potentially going to have to flip on Sonora soon. And I was hoping to see who I could trust from Sonora moving forward as well. I did not want it to reach the level it reached. I didn't. Everything I said was true. Like what Judanique told me and how I took it was honest. I was not trying to manipulate that information.
How about Judanique's past game? Sorry, specifically on the past game point of it. Was that a true thing that you shared with me?
Yes.
So then the question that I was going to ask everyone was this. Essentially, I think it's going to be a little reminiscent of what AB talked about, but Survivor is a TV show. We want to watch not just, I think there's a strategy to the game, but there's also an arc. So it doesn't have to be a hero arc. It can also be a villain arc. Zaki, I think you preempted there. Yours might be a villain arc from your intro. But can everyone give me like this 1 minute synopsis of what arc you think your season had?
I want to answer that by also answering a question that you asked me during the game. I lied to you when I said that my role in Blood of the Clock Tower that I think that I was playing was Juggler. I, in reality, was the Scarlet Woman. I built up necessary targets around me, took out my imp so that I can be the last demon remaining. I think that my initial storyline was hero to villain. It was a straight, fluid line to be able to allow that to happen, and it was very evident in the actions that I took.
I can go. For me, I think my storyline this game was no matter the situation, no matter whether I was in a good spot or a bad spot, I was going to stay as true to myself as I could in terms of whatever is best for me in the game. That's what I was going to go with. And I think the path I had to take to get from the beginning of this game to here was very uphill. And I think to that, it does lend to an underdog. And I do think I did kind of play more villainous than I anticipated. So I could see that also being a part of it. But I think the true thing for me, more than anything, was like if there's anything that anyone can say about me in this game is I put literally everything I had to it. And I was someone that was invested in this from start to finish, from the moment I got home from work to the moment I went to bed. I lost 14 pounds. I don't even know how that happened, but apparently this game stresses me out to where I don't eat. But I literally, it's someone that gave this damn thing everything they had, and was someone that, whether you're rooting for me or against me, you knew that I was showing up and I was here to play.
I would say my arc is really somebody in the background who you kind of forget about early on in the show, to somebody who seems like an obvious target for several rounds in the middle, and people keep wondering how they keep surviving and keep scrapping out of precarious situations, and then they end up becoming more of a power player out of nowhere at the very end.
Thank you all very much. That's what I had.
Thank you, Emily. And last but not least, before we do closing speeches, Al.
So nobody else on the jury has really called you out on your bullshit, so I guess I have to. I think, first of all, you owe an apology to everybody on the jury because with voting me out, you made not a single person excited to vote for anybody. Bummer for all of us, really. I think all of you lack a lot of self-awareness. I'm not going to get into specifics, but you really, I think, should look back on your games after the season and see what's not connecting because it's most of it. Michael, all you had to do was shut the fuck up. Literally all you had to do. The call, that didn't matter. The words didn't matter. All you had to do was not say anything at Tribal. Because for all I knew, 30 seconds before Tribal, you could have changed your mind and it would have been fine. But you didn't shut the fuck up. And you decided in the middle of Tribal to be like, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. Bullshit. You knew exactly what you were doing and you decided to be cruel. And I don't really want to hear anything. I might ask a question later. We'll see. Zachy, I don't see the villain aspect. I see kind of messy gameplay and some confusion. And whoa, I'm fired up. Jesus, I was not planning this. I thought everybody else was going to be shady, and then I just come in here at the end, and nobody was shady. So now I have to be. Fuck my life. It feels like both you and Mike. No, actually, no. This is kind of for all three of you. A lot of the things you've claimed, you're kind of just like, well, I was there for this. So it's basically my move. Michael and Marissa, you both mentioned the Ollie move. I came up with it, but you guys were both there, so I guess that's basically your move, right? No. Whatever. But I think you just need to like lower your expectations. Everybody needs to vote for somebody, but it's not. I don't want to vote for any of you. Like I have to, but I don't want to. And I'm probably going to end up voting for somebody that I really don't want to because I haven't had enough time to process what happened in this fucking game because I've had less than 24 hours to do so. So, I did not intend to be so, ugh. I just am so frustrated at the lack of accountability or the lack of self-awareness that every single one of you has shown this entire final tribal. You've not owned up to things. Michael, you seem to think that the only thing you really did wrong in this game was to me at the end, and I can tell you that the jury does not agree. And by wrong, I mean like things to hurt people or things that went too far. And I think that looking back on the season is going to be a great learning experience for everybody because information is going to be available that wasn't when you're in the game. And it's really easy to think you know everything that's going on when you don't. And it's really easy to believe the things that people are telling you about your game or the things that you think are the things that you think are happening. And that's just not necessarily the truth. I genuinely don't know how this vote is going to play out. I genuinely don't know how I want this vote to play out. I'd love to vote for somebody on production to win this season, but that's not, I've been told by multiple people that that's not allowed. I know that I should be allowing you time to say words, but I kind of just don't want to because I'm going to give you your time in your final speeches to figure something out and try to own your games. I don't I don't know. Everything I'm saying right now, just to be so clear, is just in the context of this game. It doesn't go beyond this. It's just this game. Anything, it's not about you as a person. It's about you in this game. So, yeah, I think I had some great conversations with all of you. I hope they were real. If not, that fucking sucks. But yeah, cool. Enjoy the rest of this, and congrats to whoever wins. I still don't know who I'm voting for. This sucks.
Alrighty. And with that, we are going to our closing speeches. This is being done, of course, in reverse order. So Marissa, you will have 5 minutes, and then Michael, and then Zachy. And then after that, I will pull the jurors in one final time into the voting booth. So jurors, please make sure you've got that available. But Marissa, whenever you start talking, I'll start the time.
Hi, everybody. So I know that I was not a player that was very, very apparent, or a lot of you didn't really know my social game. Part of that was strategy, but it's also a weakness of mine that I'm working on with these games. Part of that is just me trying to get a footing in these games and get a feel for how I fit in. But it's also because I am leaning into my strengths as I know them as well, and my natural personality traits. So as part of that, I played the role of somebody who really was more of a listening ear than an active player, setting forth an agenda until later in the game. And to Al's inquiry and statement, I will say that I feel like the Ollie vote was very collaborative. You and I talked about Ollie and Emily pretty equally in turn. And yes, you did set the determining path towards Ollie in that instance, but it was a big collaboration between me, you, and Michael in part. I talked to you about it, got your headspace on it, and then I talked to Michael about it, see if we wanted to try and redirect it to Emily or keep it on Ollie, and then worked into a trio with that. And that was kind of my role, was taking information one-on-one and then really bringing that forth to alliances as I saw fit or necessary for my game. And like I said, I don't try to come in with a strong power agenda. I don't try to make big moves for the sake of making big moves. I try to make moves that when the timing is correct for me, and that makes sense for me. I don't come in with a solid plan just because I want to be open and adaptable to whatever happens in the game, because I know a lot can happen, and then perceptions change throughout the game. You see people differently, you view people differently. Who you thought was your closest ally ends up being a bad ally, and then vice versa. People who you didn't expect to be your ally end up becoming some of your closest allies. So I really wanted to be open to any and all situations throughout the game. And like I said, I ended up being on the correct side of every vote I was a part of, and considering I was pretty isolated in the middle part of the game, that speaks to my power in the game and how I was able to be a part of the information and vote correctly with that. And also, it was pretty fucking apparent when you all left me out of the power structures in the middle of the game. And I exploited that. I used it, and don't be bitter because I used that to my advantage. And also, I will say, I was actually expecting a lot more shade in this, so forgive me if I'm a little fired up as well, but I appreciate you all. And you're all really great players, and I told some people I felt like I was in like the really cool kids society in high school. And I was some like secretary or treasurer or something like that. Because there were a lot of big power players. There was like the cool theater kids, the vice president, class president, the like valedictorian, the jocks, the really popular kids, and I was just there. So I leaned into that. But I also do think that I set myself up really nicely, given how out of the power structure I was
1
for
minute.
the first half of the game. And I set myself up really nicely for the end game. And part of that was because of the work I put in with my allies.
Thank you, Marissa. Let me get set up. And Michael, whenever you're ready.
I think every single thing, and I'm not just saying this to kiss anyone's ass. I think every critique that has been brought about my game is 100% true and accurate. And my game is incredibly far from perfect. I tried. I think I focused so much on the strategy and so much on just planning moves and everything. I did lose track of the human element of building this connection with somebody and then screwing them over. And how does that make somebody feel? And could I have done it better? I 100%. I know I could have done a lot of things better, and it was not just Al and the way that all was handled. Al, like, I want to address everyone individually really quick, but Al, like, the part at Tribal Council. Meant to be anything manipulative. I feel like I hurt a lot of people's feelings with the way I played this game. While there's advantages to playing in the middle and having all this information and all this trust with people, but like also it's super clear that I did not handle the eventual vote outs the way I could have done better. And like Emily, for example, Emily and Ollie, I'm going to be completely honest. You were probably from merge on, and with Ollie's case, the swap. You were probably my two closest allies in the game, along with Marissa. And voting you out was something I determined I had to do after the live event. And it was something I was struggling with because on a personal level, I talked with you both by far the most of everyone in the game. And those are real connections. And it was just my strategic mind of they're going to kick my ass. Everybody's saying they're the best player. I have to take them out. And that's all it was. And I'm sorry for how I handled those and feeling used because this game is tricky. And and I definitely could have been a lot better in those cases. And then AB, kind of like what I already talked about with you, but like our connection in the game was genuine, and I owe a ton to you for me being here, and that is not lost on me. I literally, it's the social relationship, and is it all bullshit? Is it fake after voting somebody out? That is an incredibly valid concern, and I wish I had the best answer for it. I think that the truth of the matter is I was prioritizing other things when I should have been probably more focused on that element of my game, and it is a very fair weakness to critique. Judanique, you were the one person in the game that I felt like I really kind of knew beforehand in a real like having played together type of way, and I always wanted both of us to do really well. I did not mean for things to go the way that they did for when those last couple of days that you were in the game for. I'm sorry for whatever contribution I had to that because that was not, I never was my idea to blow it up to that level or have anything. I don't not want your experience to be ending in any kind of a negative way, and I'm sorry for that. And Jameryl, I don't know on your end if this was real, but on my end, you're 100% my final two on Sonora originally, and I felt a potential disconnect when we hit the merge based on how we wanted to play the game. And when things changed for me was when I did find out there was a core group chat I wasn't involved in with Emily and Judanique, or where the this game has been crazy, y'all. I I feel very confident in my game, but I also feel very confident in my mistakes. And those are things that at the end of the day, you're going to have to choose what you value more, or if you think I deserve your vote despite the way I might have handled certain vote outs in certain situations. All I can really say is I gave literally everything I had in this game. I am completely exhausted, but it was all just to try to play the best game I thought I could play. And I did, the connections were real. And I'd be very honored to be the sole survivor this season and represent the season. But regardless of if I get your vote here tonight or not, like, I have nothing but love for everybody here, and like this has been such a fun experience. So good luck, Marissa and Zachy. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. And Zachy.
I want to start off by saying that I feel like that I have. Oh gosh. Oh, my laptop's I'm fucking up. Okay, sorry. I want to start off by saying that I feel like that I have owned up a good bit to my game. Instead of villain and hero's clothing, I actually wrote down the phrase, my game is like justice flavored chaos. I do own up to a lot of my behavior and a lot of my moves as more on the ambitious slash messy side. I even compared myself to a bull in a china shop at the very beginning, answering Sam's question, where I am aware that a lot of my personality is loud in your face. But that leads to the comparison of my game being here as compared to the other two sitting next to me, which has had the most influence on the game. One of the things that I have yet to touch on is in my challenge with Judenique, where I had previously actively decided not to choose a game-changing power in the game because it would make my threat level so big, farther big than I can control, knowing that the other person was going to make that same mistake. I then communicated to Judenique that there absolutely was a game-changing power with the safety without power, with whoever was there, that being Sam. I help instigate going into the merge, targets be put on Zach and Sam, even though I was not a part of the vote. I help make sure that it was not me or my closest allies. That was a sort of influence there. There was no point in the majority votes where I just so happened to be there, where I was just a number to be used in order to have that person be voted out. In the Jameral and Judenique vote outs, I did not fuck up by switching my vote to Judenique. I mean, switching my vote to Jameral. That was on purpose because I knew that at that tribal, I wanted Jameral out over Judenique. I did not tell anyone that. I did not make it known that that was my goal because, as Jameral has stated, he was the person that I have yet to make any kind of real social connection with. We unfortunately just never got the opportunity to. And so it was beneficial for me for him to go there. I had thought about just switching my vote and have it that and Jamera going out, and I will have the social capability to build myself back up after that. I jumped on top of the opportunity to double down and have Judenique waste her idol, or at least contribute to Judenique waste her idol. She obviously made the decision herself. You can't force somebody to do anything. Moving into the AB, I think that I, along with Emily, are the two most influential people to have that happen. And I think that is most indicative in Ollie's decision to vote Marissa there, due to him not even being sure that I was going to vote that way, and knowing that he only wanted to vote that way if he knew for sure I was going to do it, because AB was going to go out. I was the driving force behind that, and I will absolutely claim that with pride because I love AB and I know that she will respect it. It wasn't until late game where I unfortunately did not have the driving force behind who specifically went home, but there was driving force behind
1
making
minute.
sure that it was not me. I made sure through many different instances to make sure and build individual relationships with Marissa. I remember a specific conversation where I made you cry, and I'm so sorry. But that fire that I put state that I am so proud of everyone playing this game. I'm so happy that I have been able to meet so many great people here. It fills me with so much happiness and joy that I not only get to show so many lovely people what I have learned with being in the years of Survivor and orgs and everything, but how much that I have grown. I took a 2-year hiatus from
That is
orgs because I needed to
time,
work on
Zachy.
myself, and that is so fucking phenomenal to be finally be able to show that. I'll shut up. Sorry, I'm just very passionate.
All right. Thank you so much to our finalists. Thank you, jury, for the final tribal council as a whole. It is now time. I will be going into the voting booth and polling y'all one at a time. You are casting a vote for who you want to see win this game. AB, you're up first.
Jackie, is that the suit you got at the thrift shop? Fire. Good find. I like it with
Thank you.
the
Yes,
necklace, the chain too. Yeah.
I do too. I saw just recently somebody wearing a tank top with a suit jacket over it, and I'm like, oh,
I
oh,
like
that
that.
gives
Yeah.
very like me vibes, especially with
Mm.
like the long hair. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a Jonathan
Yes.
Van
And the
Ness in a way,
earrings.
but like good
Yeah.
boy Jonathan Van Ness.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Like boss bitch, casual but cool, knows what they're doing energy. I love it. And the earrings too. I just saw those.
Thank you, thank you. I'll absolutely take that compliment.
Yeah. I feel like 7 minutes isn't enough time for an opening statement, and 5 minutes isn't enough time for a closing statement. Flew by.
I I agree because I have like little things written down here that I didn't even touch.
Yeah. Let's see.
Good luck, you two.
You too. Thanks.
Oh, I swear to God, Jeff better be with you.
Oops.
All right, y'all. Before I read the votes, I usually like to do just a quick little spiel. I'm always so incredibly thankful that a neat little idea I had just a couple years ago could really bring together such a wonderful group of people, both on production and in cast. You'll find that the viewing lounge was very active this season. Y'all delivered from start to finish, and that's all we can ever ask. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody. It's been a fantastic season, and I cannot wait to crown either Marissa, Michael, or Zachy. You want to see your name. For the last time, I'll read the votes. Michael. Zachy. It's one vote, Michael. The winner of Persist 5, Mato Grosso, is Michael. Congratulations to Michael. Congratulations to Zachy and Marissa on such an impressive finish as well.
And Zachy and Marissa were amazing competitors, and I didn't know how this was going to go tonight. So this means a lot. So thank you.
From here, folks, we will kind of maybe slowly give permissions for you to see things. We'll give folks a chance to kind of get on camera, get settled, and we do have some awards to hand out. Pardon me, which I will go over, but I'll just give folks a second to hop on and all that.
Us like now. Oh, Ollie's already going. Cool.
We have a flat tire right outside of Dover, right?
No.
There's an wait. Let me turn my camera around. We're at Advanced Auto Parts.
Tolis, can I have
That's me.
Yeah, it is. Never mind. I found it.
You literally should have access to it because it's in the Persist
I
org.
know where it's at.
Y'all did great.
Okay, the main question that I have right now, first question to open up the reunion. Zach, where is Rocco? There he is. Yes, Rocco made it.
I did get tipped off that I should go grab Rocco from the balcony, so I was not by my side the whole time. But
Why not?
Because Rocco lives on the balcony.
Yeah, Rocco's still. Actually, I'm over. Rocco doesn't upset me anymore. Maybe I'll keep him on the desk. But
And there was like a lot of theories about what the Rock did. It was just literally bring the Rock to tribal, or you lose your vote. It's that simple.
I think I started the theories myself, so it was like maybe other people had them. I guess I'll read what people had to think about it. But yeah, I don't know.
It's great to see some old faces as well. Me. The first thing that we usually do before we get into like official awards is, y'all say the darndest things, and sometimes those things make it into episode titles for the game. And so we're gonna go over those first until we get into our little like official things. So, episode 1 is You Want a Strategy Game? Go Play Some Chess by Judanique.
I feel like this sounds so badass, but I think I don't think.
Oh,
I
it
don't know.
was. It was.
It
It was
was.
literally. It was literally like again one of those top. I think it was night one moments where it was just like, you want a strategy game? Like that's
Love
what
it.
that was, and like I mean, and that's the name of the game.
Yeah, period. Great. Thanks.
Episode 2 was Got on the Houston Train from Emily. As folks started to realize that maybe Jeff and Jaywin might be some pretty close friends. We don't really know.
What? What kind of rumors are y'all starting?
We had no idea. Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
gosh, it was a
They were a bonded
mystery.
pair. They were a bonded pair.
Oh my god. Rodney, your acting is still you still haven't learned your acting skills. You need to get some more.
I
Anyway.
will say the Houston train is one to be on as someone who lives here, absolutely.
Episode 3 was our double from Michael to Jordan J. In some parting words as right before Tribal.
The full quote is in haha funny, which y'all will have access to later.
Episode 5 is Blasted by Rick Astley by Zachy. We all love that competition if you participated. I'm sure it was amazing. Glad I didn't have to do it. Episode 6 is Play with the Cards You Got Dealt by Zach. We thought it was a very fitting one, both for the challenge between picking the black and white cards, but also for Jared's boot, as he had a very specific card to pick, which we might get into a little bit, that I don't think people know about. The Merge, The Tethered, said by a lot of people, but we believe it was coined by Jameril, so we gave it to Jameril. What a fantastic little spin of events, and it couldn't have happened to a better pair who were not connected in any sort of way. Was really great. Episode 8, also by Jameril, is Bystander Situation. Episode 9, People Have Liaritis, Michael. Episode 10, The Room Where It Happens by AB, said with a group of people planning to vote her out. Episode 11 by Al, congrats, you persisted. And the finale episode by Zachy, Ready to Motto Go So.
I was there for that quote. He 100% said "ready to Mato Grosso." So that's a false quote. That's not what was said.
I mean, much like
And you
my
know
final
what?
travel, I'll still claim it even if I didn't say it.
That's okay. I love rewriting history. And the best episode title goes to People Have Liaritis from Michael. It was just funny.
I think I got it too. So.
And now to some more awards. Everybody here is here for a reason. It all started from a lovely little interview that either took, like 20 minutes or an hour for some of y'all. And our nominees for Best was Jaywin. Amazing, iconic from second one. We really, really enjoyed talking with you.
a good interview, and to flop pre-jury, oh my god, I'm gonna die. But thank you.
Listen, if it wasn't the flu that got you, maybe you also would have gotten some kidney stones, but
Yeah, the double team got double whammied for sure. But thank you all so much.
Best night one. Some people start off better than others, and the standouts from the first night were Emily, Jordan J, and Judenique, all from the Sonora tribe because Taboko.
I tried.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to get into it.
Y'all didn't talk either. Emily, Jordan J, and Judenique. Emily and Judenique led a lot of the conversations, and Jordan J is running around the hotel room with a worker helping find some goggles and just having a good time with his friends dogging on him for having online friends. Like, it was a really fun time. And the winner of the best night one does go to Judenique. Best prod chat. Some people like to talk to us in there, others didn't. That's okay. And the nominees for best production chat are between Jordan R, Marissa, Michael, and Ollie. And we decided to award best production chat to Jordan R. Even after Jordan R is out, he is messaging us his thoughts, his opinions, his questions that don't get answered until, now that we're here. So thank you for keeping us entertained throughout. On the flip side, our nominees for that were AB, Jared, and Ollie. And the winner of Best Confessionals goes to Ollie for not only doing like video round stuff, but also updating us on calls we missed out on and giving us a rundown of exactly what was going on. Made our game updates pretty easy and really gave us an insight on where Ollie was thinking.
Yeah,
like teacher's pet.
Oh, reading stuff for days with how much you all gave, because there's a lot there, and we are, again, so thankful because it also helped us know exactly where your heads were at.
Most likely to get medically evacuated. This goes to our individuals that maybe the Persist bar was a little bit trickier for them. And our nominees for that were Jaywin, Jordan J, and Zachy. Jaywin and Jordan J got a couple comments from People's Confessionals being like, we know when to add the firewood now, don't we? Meanwhile, Zachy, I think yesterday, asked us the rules on fishing. And because of that, with much love to you, Zachy, you are getting the award for most likely to get medically evacuated.
I wanted to time it out to make sure that no one can start whenever I stop to ensure I have the top persist meter, but I get it. I get it.
I mean, also, you had the I think third lowest average of everybody across all 36 days. So it wasn't just like the lack of rule awareness for some of it, but also you were in the bottom of the averages, and y'all will see a lovely chart for that.
It's not Jake's 14 from season 1 that he ended on. So hey,
good thing the Kool-Aid went to me then.
And the opposite of that is our Persist Award of the individuals that we felt absolutely dominated. And this was hard. I can attest to sitting on the jury chat today, and they were like, this is so easy. We don't know what y'all were doing to consistently be at like the lowest. I think the lowest average is what, like 86 total is, like something like that. Like, it was crazy. how invested y'all were in our concept, which makes me happy, but also really goes to attest like how in it everybody in this cast was. And so our nominees were Emily, Jameryl, and Michael. I believe, Tolsh, correct me if I'm wrong, these were our top 3 highest averages. And it was really, really close. However, Emily had the highest average. I also want to give out a shout out for Michael that out of the 36 days that we recorded, he ended at 100 for 16 of them.
Damn.
Emily 12. Crazy, y'all. Insane.
And I think we said that Emily's lowest
was 92.
92 on day 3.
Funniest moment, y'all give us a lot of stuff and it's great. And our funniest moments were AB's round of applause, Cast reacting to Jeff and Jay when dating, and Michael Wholesome Brady being pop culture challenged.
Fuck y'all for that round of applause. I'm still bitter as shit about that. What the fuck? That was some.
Well, funnily enough, AB, that is what. AB's note from the auction was a 60-second round of applause from production where we just simply said, "You're doing so great. We appreciate everything you're doing. This is awesome," for a whole 60 seconds. And as soon as the 60 seconds hit, we dipped.
I thought she was lying about that.
We have Jordan R., Ollie, and Zach. Some pretty close votes here. But ultimately, we gave biggest blindside to Zach, going out 6-5, idle in pocket. Could have been a potentially way different game otherwise. So really nice job to Sonora and Al for just making that happen. Head scratcher. This is just something that kind of makes production as we watch be like, like just a little, huh? It's not necessarily like worst thing ever, but it's just like, well, why did this occur? And so we have the eliminated people's perception of game dynamics. We have the handling of Jameryl's idol. And we have Sam giving safety without power to AB. And the winner of that is Sam giving safety without power to AB, the round that he got voted out.
I don't think that's a head scratcher. I think that you guys just aren't appreciating my unimpeachable social game.
Imagine knowing you had that.
Imagine. Shocker of all shockers. Maybe if fucking production hadn't made the rule that I wasn't allowed to play it past 5 minutes into that scramble, I figured out that I was going 6 minutes into that scramble, I would have fucking played it. I knew I was going. And I was like, they're like, nope, can't play it. God damn it.
Best move. We have the 3-2-1 vote to get out Ollie. We have Ollie's strategic vote on Marissa at the final 7 during live night. And voting out Zach in the Tethered Tribal. And we gave best move to the 3-2-1 vote to get out Ollie. A lot of like interesting dynamics going about there. And ultimately it took out Ollie, who was maybe in productions I was starting to be a little more of a front runner in the grand scheme of things. So best subtle player, because hey, we all can't be like super like out there and forward. And sorry, Bill, I'm gonna put you down here. We always like to
Someone does
appreciate
not
the
want to be a
games.
subtle player. Bella's like, I'm not subtle. Give me an award.
No, never. And so we have Al, Jameryl, and Marissa. And we decided to award the best subtle player to Marissa. We felt that a lot of Marissa's game wasn't quite, seen too much, but Marissa was able to handle herself pretty well through the game, able to understand where the dynamics were, and also kind of kept that really secret dynamic with Michael. People were wondering, well, that was a really big key to both their games. So, best player development, we love a good story. The nominees for that are Al, Marissa, and Zachy. And we decided to award best player development to Al. Al had maybe a little bit of a rockier start, and then found their way into a position with a decent alliance with I can't say the alliance name. My brain's going. Someone say it for me.
The Davies and the Davy.
Thank you.
Is it because you're homophobic, Alex? Is that why
yes.
you can't say it? Got
Yes.
it. Mm-hmm.
And
Alex hates
from
gay people
there-
and trans people. That's true.
From there, Al got tethered at the merge, really got a lot of their connections cut off, but then you made it to Final Four, and who knows what would have happened had you made the Final Three. Villain of the season. We love a good villain. Sometimes. The nominees for that are AB, Michael, and Zachy. And I don't quite think this will be a shock to a lot of folks. Michael, you are crowned the villain of the season. As someone who has received this, we always disagree, but we can't ignore it all the time. Hero of the season, inversely, we have Jamero, Jared, and Junique.
Yeah.
And the winner of Hero of the Season is going to Judanique. Generally more of a rootable, very fun, very bubbly, just kind of personality, and it's great to watch.
I'll be a villain next game. Watch. I'm just kidding. I don't think I can.
Best duo. We have AB and Al, Jameryl and Judanique, and Marissa and Michael. And we decided to go with Marissa and Michael, the duo that no one particularly clocked, except for maybe a little slip up where Marissa called Michael Mike. And Judanique was like, huh? Which was an actual indication of a little bit of their closeness. And no one clocked it. And there they sat.
And in case anyone forgot, Alex, can you click really quickly? Such a lovely challenge.
That was me?
Obviously, that was. Who else was it?
I did not. I don't even think I put myself for that. Oh my god.
Also, Michael did not finish putting in names for every single person there.
I was really bad at challenges. Sorry.
You?
Now, sometimes it takes more than a duo to get things done. We had some really fun alliances. We had a lot of alliances. Sometimes I feel like y'all just made a group to talk with them for 5 minutes. It was a little wild. But our best alliance nominees are Eli's Angels, Powerpuff Ven, and the Babies and the Gaby. And of course, the Babies and the Gaby make it for being 4 out of the top 7, and then slowly but surely.
Oh, that's.
I was trying to go on my little revenge arc for AB, my Natalie Anderson type deal.
Rob Freemerge, we've got some folks that we just kind of want to see a little bit more of. Our nominees for that, Jared and Jordan R. Had a little bit of a rough swap, and who knows what could have happened if maybe they were picked to be on the other tribe, or if they picked to be on the other tribe, and we decided to award Rob pre-merge to Jared. Jared had a lot of investment in this season, and Jared, do you want to speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, y'all are gonna want to prepare yourself for this. So, I had an advantage at the swap, and my advantage was I knew what the swap tribes were, and I got to choose what tribe I got to swap on. And I chose, to my detriment, to swap onto Toboko.
Jared, you have to be kidding.
Jared, if you had told us this,
no, oh my
God.
Jared, thank you. So, and things worked out. I have now made new potential allies that I otherwise would have had I just stuck with Sonora. Now, I didn't tell anyone this because people would just assume, why would he voluntarily put himself in a minority position? And to that response, I say, yeah.
Oh my god.
If you would have told me, Jared, I would have fought hard.
Oh my god, yeah.
And now that I realize I probably should have mentioned it, but I was at the mentality that I didn't see any benefit to revealing that information because people would
revealing
just
that you wanted to work with us
over your OG tribe.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't think through this very well. But yeah.
There was also Jared did think that New Toboko would dominate the challenges, and instead they lost all of them.
Yes, I did.
I just, even the day of your boot, if you like, honestly, I've been ready to believe you, like really and truly. Like I wish. Sorry, Michael, but not sorry, Michael. Like, oh my god.
It really was going back and forth between Jared and Michael for up until I forget what I think it was like 2 hours beforehand when y'all like made that like, okay, no, we're hard voting for this one. Got it.
because your stories changed.
Yeah.
Michael
Jared,
said the same thing all the way through, and you changed things.
Yeah, and also Jared. And also Jared thought.
Oh, sorry, Rodney.
Also, Jared thought people on the other tribe would have thrown a comp. Obviously, we know.
Wait. They're supposed to throw that first competition. Are you kidding me? Zach would have done it all himself anyway.
We definitely would have.
The second one I tried.
You did. The second one. If Jared and I had a conversation, throwing 100%.
No, and I was supposed to, and I just froze. My mind just went right into figuring out how to do this comp. And
Judanique and Zachy, y'all want to talk about that comp?
Yeah, me and Zachy, we socialized for like probably 30 minutes straight before. Prod was like, are you guys gonna do this? And I was like, no, let's just set the score. That like I'll win 1 and Zachy will win 2. It was great.
So we talked more about like our lives than we did like about like the game and like the challenges.
Meanwhile, me and Marissa were sitting silent as the fucking grave on that call, just playing our things.
And Emily scolds me. She's like, this is really a great opportunity for like strategic planning and stuff. And I'd hate for something to happen at the merge. And I'm just like, my brain can barely focus on this challenge. I promise you, I'm not being shady. I just genuinely don't know what I'm doing. And at the merge, I will have a conversation with you. I promise. I don't want to lose this. And I'm like, I think you felt bad because you were just like,
I did.
Oh, okay, yeah. So sorry.
I felt
about
bad.
that.
I was like, you do the challenge. We'll chat at the merge. I felt bad.
I was like, my brain cannot focus on strategic conversation while trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing with this challenge. I'm so sorry.
Moving towards
Ali's favorite challenge,
round,
black and white.
And decision, and AB had a lot of people wanting to work with her, a lot of people not wanting to work with her, but if something had pulled, something got a little different direction. AB was definitely also, big front runner on Taboko, being one of like the tribe leaders and being very, very high consistently on early trust rankings. Like everybody thought they were good with AB.
Is that why I got villain nominee?
Yes.
But I didn't do it on purpose. Well, kind of. I don't know. Whatever. Thank you. I appreciate being robbed.
I would say Michael should write some sort of handbook on navigating the middle because, oh my god, it was crazy watching Michael carefully bounce back and forth and at the time not getting any blood on his hands, and everyone's like, oh yeah, hey, we can use Michael for later. Oh yeah, we can use Michael for later and later and later until whoopsies.
I fucking told y'all.
The outplay, this is more of the like using their social nuances and their social ability to kind of help get people to do the things they want, or just have good connections as a whole. And the nominees for that were AB, Junique, and Ollie. And we decided to give. Oh, you go.
Also that these people like not only had like good social with everybody, but also had a good read on where everyone stood and like understood like what was happening. Like
Maybe it's a little biased with Ollie giving us so much information to work on that we know where his reads are, but for the most part, they were pretty apt, and Ollie was really also, I think, able to capitalize again on like early Taboko dynamics, making sure that and like solely building his own case to be a really good front runner. The Outlast, this is more of our like physical component, doing the challenges, putting in the hard work. Nominees are Al, Judanique, and Zach. And how can we not? Al, 3 immunity wins in a row. I do believe that does tie our record, but I do think it is simply you win for most in a row. But challenge-wise, you were really killing the game.
And then you had to end with that fucking maze, which was rude.
I'm sorry. Player of the season. Everybody here did such a great job navigating all aspects of the game, but our nominees are AB, Michael, that Michael as a whole, production was very high on your game the whole way through. Watching you navigate the early kind of perception that some people had of you to then navigating a really unlucky swap because Emily tried her best to get you and got Zach instead, to then navigating the middle game to then getting to the end. And that does conclude our awards. From here on out, folks, it's just vibing, asking us anything you want to ask.
It was on first question. How did you divide the tribes? Please. Was it literally my name?
No, we usually we wanted, well, first off, tribes